All right, so you got your progress report. Now, by the way, when I print out those progress reports, it's like a picture. It's a moment in time. Okay, so that was just like randomly this morning, printed it out. Okay, at any time you can check your grades in Skyward. If you look at T1, click on the number, it'll pop up with literally that list at any given time. So again, you don't have to wait for me to print those out for you. Skyward's your friend. Okay. This warm up is just more of the same, so we should know how to do this. And it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, you got to be good at getting slope from 2 points. Okay. So number one, y2 minus y1. What am I going to put here? 3 minus negative 7, right? And on the bottom, what do I put? 2 minus negative 4. Now, I really appreciate how much I was helped just now. I want more people, because this is a big class, to help me out. Just saying, okay? For everyone else's sake. Y'all need to know this, or you need to use your voice you've been given. All right. The minus and negatives turn into plus signs, because they cancel out. So what's on top? 3 plus 7. Thank you. Just to let some other people. So 2 plus 4 gives us what? Thank you. Now 10 over 6 is bigger. If you did what you were supposed to do, which was this thing, okay? And if you type in 10 over 6, if you don't think you're very good at reducing, this yellow calculator is your buddy. It does it for you. You just type 10 divided by 6, and it'll pop out with the reduced version of it, okay? And I might show you up here at the front. It just takes forever for that software to load. I almost touched that. That's fine. All right, so. All right, so 10 over 6, they're both even. They divide by 2, and it reduces to what? What do y'all think? Sorry, 10 over 6. We're still reducing that fraction. So I would rather have the fraction than the decimal, but real quick. So 10 over 6, let's say you're in your calculator, you go to a new document, you don't save the old one, and you do 10. Don't save, new calculator, 10 divided by 6. There we go. Okay. Does everyone see? If you didn't see, or you're looking at the front and the back, everybody, 10 over 6 reduces to 5 over 3. Do you see how the calculator is your friend in that regard? Okay. Second one, what am I going to put? What over what? Or what minus what? Okay, 0 minus 6. Thank you so much. Yeah. So 0 minus 6. And on the bottom, what? 2 minus 5. Okay. I do appreciate that you do answer. But what's 0 minus 6? What do I get? Negative 6 on the bottom. Negative 3. If you didn't know that, again, your calculator tells you these things. You type them in, right? So negative 6 over negative 3. Again, if I need it, I can always just type it in, and it'll do the work for me. What is it reduced to? 2. Boom. Okay, so everyone has their warm-up done for the week with the objective, the learning objective, not the language. And you, again, 20 easy points, and the week you have all this stuff. Okay, so hey, oh, by the way, what's due with those assignments from Wednesday and Thursday? Okay, plotting points and slope from points and tables. If you haven't turned those two in, those are going in soon. You should get those in. But here's the notes we're doing today. Let me pass it out. You're going to take a table and get an equation, not just slope, a whole equation from a table using just our brains. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, so everyone's looking at this note sheet. Now, it says remember this. Do y'all remember this equation right here? Yeah, what is that thing called? Do y'all remember? Anyone know what this is called? I know y'all know y equals mx plus b is an equation, probably of a line, but there's a name for it. What? It is linear, but there's a type of linear equation. There's a couple of them. That's not linear. All right. So you started saying it. It's called slope intercept form. Okay.
Oh, I should have said that.
All right. Now let's answer these questions. So the first blank says M stands for the what? Now we already talked about this. What is M? Slope. M is slope. Okay. Now B stands for, do y'all know? Y-intercept. That's why it's called slope intercept form, because it's got a slope and an intercept. All makes perfect sense. Intercept. Okay, make sure I spelled it right. Now, if you need a way to remember this, everybody, think of M like a mountain. A mountain slope. Okay? That's what Mrs. Marrero would want me to tell you. Marrero. She's taking care of some business. She'll be back next week. All right, hopefully. No. So now y-intercept is the B, and one way I remember that is B for beginning. It's where a graph starts on the y-axis. So B for beginning, M for, as she would say, mountain slope. Okay. So I know it's weird because slope doesn't have the word M in it, letter M in it, I should say. So yeah, but I know y'all know how to find the slope from a table because I taught you that last week if you didn't already know it. But let's read this. If you were given a table and you have verified that it's linear, the way we did last week with the bird beaks, okay? Meaning there's a constant rate of change, you can find both the slope and the y-intercept from the table and write the equation of that line. So there are two steps to do this. Step one, find the slope. You can do it. Bird beaks, change of y over change in x, right? So we know how to do that from last week, but here's the new thing. Y'all ready? To find the y-intercept, the initial value, you have to find the coordinate point where the x coordinate is 0. So on the table, when you see x is 0, that is the y-intercept, okay? Now another thing Mrs. Marrero likes to do is sing songs to help you remember. She's not here to do it, so I'm here to do it for her. Sound good? I'll do it, okay? So Miss Marrero sings a song sung to the tune of Old MacDonald, and it goes, if x is 0, what is y? Y-intercept. But she is wiser in ears than me, so it's funnier when she sings it. All right? So when x is 0, what is y? The y-intercept. All right? So now we're going to do this on number 1. Can you find the slope on number 1? Let's do it. Let's find the change in y first. Of course. All right. Change in y. Sorry, what? We do have wrap up today. Say what? Okay, yes. Thanks for answering. So let's do the. Everybody, let's focus. So we are finding the change in y. So is it going up or down? What do you think? It's increasing by 6. Okay. So from -4 up to 0 and then up to 2, that's 6. Okay. And then from 2 up to 8 is also 6. 8 to 14, and then 14 to 20. Now, I don't want you to assume they're always the same. You actually want to think about it. But in this case, it is. That's maybe. So on X, change in X. I know you're not mocking me. Let's do the bird beaks. So from -2 to 0, is that going up or down? What do you think? Up. How much? 2. So it's +2, and then it's adding +2. You can tell because it's even numbers. It's adding 2 each time. So yeah, slope, again, is change in y over change in x. It is not 2 over 6. But again, it's not 2 over 6 because we have to think of the y over the x. So 6 over 2 is what we start with, and then we want to reduce it. If you don't feel comfortable reducing it, remember, calculator's your buddy. 6 over 2 is 3, okay? It's just 6 divided by 2. Sometimes it'll give you a fraction answer. It is what it is, okay? So, slope, m is 2. Okay. So, my bad. It is 3.
I was saying it's 3.
You're right. You're right. When you write, you write.
So smart.
Now, y-intercept. That was a test. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't. So, the y-intercept we just said and sung, when x is 0, what is y? So, on x, I found 0 right here. Y'all have an x that's a 0? And then, what's the y value? 2. So again, when the x is 0, the y is the y-intercept. So, for the answer, I'm going to write 0, 2, but all I really care about is the y value 2, okay? When x is 0, what is y? Y-intercept. It is +2, right? So, now my equation is y equals mx plus b, so let's write this. Y equals, slope is my m, y-intercept is my b, so I'm going to write 3x plus 2. Does everyone see where I got those numbers? I found the slope, that's my m. I found the y-intercept, that's my b. 3x plus 2, okay? Hopefully this is just a throwback to Algebra 1 stuff that you might already know, right? Or at least you've seen before. Okay? Did y'all finish those 2 papers? Okay, I'll take those. Now number 2, go ahead and start number 2. Do the bird beaks. Find the change in y, find the change in x. All right. So what's the change in y? What's happening each time? Ah, I'm glad I didn't hear 10. Okay? Because if it was 10, it would go from 80 up to 90, but it's going down to 70, right? So negative or minus 10. And you can see it each time. It's the 10th place goes down 1, so yeah, minus 10 each time. So y'all are able to find the change in y. Now change in x. What's happening each time? Yeah, it is going up. If the negative's going down, that means it's adding, right? So adding how much? 1 each time. So we need to put change in y over change in x. So what over what? Who said 10? Negative 10 over 1, which is just negative 10. Very good. All right. Now, y-intercept is when x is 0. Here's x is 0. So that means my y-intercept is 60. Okay. So what's my final equation? Negative 10x plus 60 is correct. All right, flip it over.
I'm so sorry. Almost done.
What do we do?
So have you shown me?
If the y-intercept is 0?
Sorry, what?
What do we do if the y-intercept is 0?
That's fine. But I'll show you how to write it in a minute. No. All right, number 3. There we go. Change in y. This has decimals. We can still do it. 1 to 0.5 is going which direction? Down, it's subtracting, right? Negative what? 0.5. 0.5 is actually more precise. 0. All right, and then again, yeah, from 0.5 down to 0 is negative, whoa, 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 0.5. Same thing here, negative 0.5, and same, oh my gosh, and then same thing here, negative 0.5. Great, now what about the change in x? What's happening? No, it's going up 1.
Oh, thank you.
Negatives going down means it's going up. Just saying. All right, so adding 1 each time. What is my slope? Negative 0.5 over 1, which is just negative 0.5. Y-intercept. When x is 0, what is my y? Y-intercept is 0. Kind of weird, but it's all right. What's my equation going to be? So we put the slope, negative 0.5 x, and you might want to write plus 0, but you don't need to. Yeah, you never really see that. So that's it. So those so far, so it's not that bad, right? But the change in y is 5, like we just said, and the change in x is what? It is 1. It's going up 1 each time. So, right, so 5 over 1, which is just 5, which is great. Now, what's weird about the y-intercept? Okay, does everyone see that there is no 0 on the x side? So what we need to do is use our to try to figure out what it is, okay? I'm sure y'all can do puzzles if it's on a game or a phone app or something. So what do you think we need to do to figure out the 0 value of x? So you see how on the x side it's going up 1 each time. So we need to go back 1, right? If I know the rate of change is 1, I'm going back 1. So sometimes you need to figure out the 0 value, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to kind of go back 1 to 0, okay? Say what? You add it to the table. So if I'm going back 1 on the left side, on the x side, I'm going to go back 5 on the y side because that's the rate of change. And what's 5 minus 5? 0, okay? So in this case, when x is 0, y is 0, right? So, kind of like the last one, what would I write for my equation? Y equals 5x. There is a 0 for the y-intercept. You don't have to write it, okay? I want to give you a couple minutes. I want you to try the next 3. See if you can figure it out. It might be a little bit challenging, but I want you to try the next 3, okay? 5. So what was the change in y? Negative 2. So down 2 each time. So that's the change in y. What's the change in x? Adding 2 each time. Okay, so my slope is what over what? Which is -1, right? We're just reducing the slope. Negative 2 over 2 is -1. Am I right or no? You want to get something different? Now, the y-intercept. This is very important. You put that down. So, the 0 is not above the table this time, right? 0 is between which two numbers on the x table? Like over here, what is 0 between? Do y'all agree? Between -1 and 1, between negative and positive numbers is 0, right? So this time put 0, just kind of draw it in between -1 and 1, okay? So if it's between those two, then on the y side, you want to find the number between those two. So what's between 5 and 7? 6, right? So now that I found that missing value that I needed, x is 0, the y is 6, okay? what's my equation going to be? Now, negative 1x, usually don't see that. You usually just see it as negative x. Both are fine, either way. And then plus 6. Perfect. Okay. All right. Number 6. Let's find the change in y. What's the change in y? Change in y is 5 each time. And then the change in x each time. Okay, 3. So what's my slope? Change in y over change in x. Does 5 over 3 reduce? It does not. So now for the y-intercept, 0 is not between any of these numbers, but it is below the 3, okay? So what I need to do is from this 3, I need to go back 3 to get to 0, right? Well, guess what? That's what they were doing already. So I'm going to do what I've been doing already on this side. So what do I do from 2 to get to my y-intercept? We're going back 5 or subtracting 5. So 2 minus 5 is negative 3, yes. Okay. So when x is 0, the y value is negative 3. Let's write the equation. Y equals x minus 3. Minus 3. All right, last one. This is kind of similar to one we just did on number 5. All right, the y values are going up 1 each time. It is adding it, if you can believe that, okay? That's ugly. Let's try that again. Change in y, whatever. And then change in x is what? It is adding 2 each time. So the change in y over the change in x is 1/2. Now, where do you think my 0 is? Between negative 1 and 1 again. So put a 0 there. Now this might be kind of tricky. What's between negative 1.5 and negative 0.5? Not 2. Technically not 1, but you might mean something else. What? Negative 1. Not 1, negative 1, right? So negative 1 goes here. That's my y-intercept. Negatives matter, right? So yes, y equals just 1/2 x and then minus 1. All right, so with our 7 minutes left, we're going to wait to do the assignment tomorrow. So just hold on to that. You got a little bit of time if you need to finish any assignments, turn them in or whatever, okay? Hold on to these notes. Don't lose them. Do not turn them in because they're notes, okay?